This comes from James, and it's a loaded question, but I shall try to answer it anyway. I wanted to know your personal opinion on probably the most topical question relating to current WWE programming. Why is John Cena so hated? Clearly, James, you must be new. I think, since you asked me for my personal opinion, it's not any one thing. I think there's a lot of people who are sick and tired of seeing John Cena, just seeing him. Doesn't matter what position he's in. They just hate his guts. They want him to get hurt. They want him to go away. All these awful things. And I will never say that. I don't want to see John Cena die. I don't want to see John Cena break his neck or break his arm or break his leg or break anything. I think for people who wish that on somebody, you're an idiot and you need to reevaluate your life. Let's not take it that far. But I can see where they're coming from in that they're sick and tired of seeing John Cena hog up their televisions when it comes to main event matches, main event feuds, pay-per-views. He's the face of the company. You know, he's been on top for a decade, over a decade. That gets old after a while. People thought the Cena character was played out and too hokey and all that kind of stuff in 2006. So imagine how those same people feel today in 2014. I think a lot of it has to do with that. I think a lot of it has to do with the PG nature of the character. John Cena has become a symbol of PG just by virtue of being the number one guy in the company, and you still have plenty of people out there who hate that WWE is PG and not TV-14, so they take it out on John Cena because he's the easiest target. Who else are you going to take it out on? What other character on television right now is an obvious target for people who hate PG, like a main event level performer? John Cena is the only one that comes to mind. I don't look at Randy Orton and think, oh, he's PG. Sheamus? Maybe. I don't think people really see Sheamus on that level anyway. They look at John Cena. He comes out, he's wearing the armbands and the neon, all the neon crap. He's like a giant Crayola crayon. And, you know, he does his little salute and he just, the things he says in his promos. I mean, I'm with you guys in that he'll say stuff that just makes my skin crawl. He can be an awesome promo, he just chooses not to be. More often than not, his promos make me cringe. When he's on, when he's really feeling it and trying to sell a big match and he goes into, like, intense mode, he's an awesome promo guy. We just don't get to see that a lot. So I think you can't pinpoint one reason why people hate John Cena. They're just sick of seeing him. They're sick of seeing him, and they resent the fact that he's been shoved down their throats for so long, which is what they have to try to avoid doing with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is over. There's going to be people who start to boo him soon. I guarantee you. I guarantee you, especially if the idea is to keep pushing him until he beats Brock for the title at WrestleMania, if that's the plan. Or whoever. Whoever he beats. There's a pretty good chance that Roman Reigns will end WrestleMania next year winning the championship. And I'm okay with that. But that means they're going to be pushing this guy hard for the next 8, 9, 10 months. And probably a lot longer than that. And if he wins the title, it's going to be worse. Because their idea is for him to be the next John Cena. So I guarantee you right now, I know I'm making such a prediction here, you're going to get those people who start very loudly and noticeably booing Roman Reigns before long. Because that's just the thing to do now. When you perceive that the company is shoving somebody down your throat, you resent them for it. It's not like it was 20 years ago. People will just accept it because that's just how it is. Everyone now, they control the show, and they want what they want. They don't want what you want them to want. That's a mouthful. But that's my point. So there's a way to get, I think, Roman Reigns over. There's a way to push him without this perception that he's being shoved down your throat. But that's going to be a fine line for them to walk. I don't trust that these people are smart enough to walk that line because, as we've seen before, it's not something that they usually are very good at doing. But I think that has a lot to do with why people hate Cena. He just became this status symbol that people can hate on for an era that people just overall don't like. They want to go back to the way it was. They want to go back to attitude. They want to go back to ruthless aggression and, you know, hardcore matches and cursing and, you know, half-naked women and all that kind of stuff. They want their wrestling. You know, they love their wrestling. They want that and they want that. They want a combination of both, and they're not getting that. And that pisses a lot of people off. So Cena becomes an easy target. I'll rip on Cena all day long when he comes out and cuts those corny promos, and He does comedy, which is not funny. He's not a great wrestler. He's a good wrestler. I don't think he gets enough credit for being good enough. I'll never say that John Cena is a great wrestler, because he's not. So you'll have some people who dislike him for that. But that's my take on it. You can't pinpoint one specific thing. It's a combination of everything I just talked about. And then you have the irrational people who just hate on him because that's the thing to do. You know, hey, John Cena, he's out there. Oh, look at this. John Cena's in the main event again. He sucks. Cena sucks. Die, Cena, die. You know, what are you going to do? He's the top guy. Nobody else has been able to come along and push him off that perch. Maybe Roman Reigns will be that guy. Maybe Daniel Bryan, had he not gotten hurt, would have eventually ascended to that level. I don't think he would have. I think he was pretty much at the level he was going to be at. He didn't have that mainstream appeal that Cena has, or Cena's looks for movies and stuff like that. Roman Reigns, on the other hand, does have that, and I think you're looking at the next John Cena, and I hope for his sake that people will give him a chance, because I think Roman Reigns is very good. I disagree with the people who think that Roman Reigns is just a gimmick. He's not a good wrestler. He's too green. I don't see that at all. I just answered a whole email from somebody about this, and I just don't see it. I think Roman Reigns has worked with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose for 18 months, and in those 18 months, if you look at where Roman Reigns was at the beginning to where Roman Reigns is now, you see a very noticeable improvement. Okay, he's not in there. He's not a Daniel Bryan or a Chris Benoit or a Kurt Angle or anything like that. He doesn't have to be. He's every bit as good as John Cena is, and I think he could even be better in the ring than John Cena is. That's what happens when you're teaming and working with guys like Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose for so long. You're on the road, and you're going to get better. Unless you absolutely suck, it's impossible not to get better. So I don't see what people are saying when it comes to that kind of stuff. I think he's fine as a wrestler. He's got this badass persona, this badass aura to him. He's got his moves that are over, like the Superman punch and the spear and that drop kick on the apron. It's no different than any other main event guy who has their 3 or 4 or 5 moves of doom. Bret Hart had his 5 moves of doom, just like John Cena has his 5 or 6. Hulk Hogan probably had less than that. So Roman Reigns is going to be just fine as long as they don't go down the same road with him they did with John Cena. Hopefully they can learn from the example of John Cena. Crowds have changed, for better or worse, right? Wrestling crowds now are a hell of a lot different than they were 15 years ago. And if they can adapt to that and be very careful with how they push this guy, he could be the biggest thing they've ever had. Sky's the limit for this guy. He's got the look they like. He's got the size. I think his promos can improve, but that'll come in time. But use John Cena as an example. I think that's a big part of why people resent the guy, because for so long, he was shoved down their throat, and they didn't like that. So that's my take on John Cena. It's a loaded question. Everyone's going to have a different answer. Some people will agree, some will disagree. He asked for my personal opinion. I gave it. End of story.